Thank you for joining us here today. My name is Jonah Schein. I'm the Member of Provincial Parliament for the riding of Davenport, and I'm the GTA critic for the Ontario NDP. I'm happy to host today's press conference to discuss the private member's bill that I'll be introducing later this afternoon. My private member's bill is to protect unpaid interns in Ontario. I'm joined here by September Anderson. September has completed 3 unpaid internships in the last 3 years, and she's kindly agreed to share her experiences with us. Beside her is Kyle Yanutzi, who worked as an unpaid internship in 2011, and Kyle is one of the only individuals who has ever won a complaint against an employer for back pay in Ontario. Finally, we have Andrew Langiel. He's a labor lawyer whose work has focused on the legal regulation of unpaid internships in Canada. I'd also like to recognize Joshua Mandrick and the group Students Against Unpaid Internship Scams who are here with us today. These students have worked so hard to bring the state of unpaid internships to the attention of provincial legislators, and I'm really glad to have them join us here. The issue of unpaid internships is one that resonates with people right across Ontario. Most people know at least one young person who has worked as an unpaid intern. Internships can offer valuable opportunities for young people. They can be an important stepping stone into the workplace, but far too often we see that the internship system just isn't working as it should. Many young people are stuck working for no pay, for no compensation, with few protections in their workplace. And with the risk of being blacklisted by employers, most of these workers are reluctant to speak up. It's clear to us that the status quo is not working in Ontario. And that's why I'll be introducing my bill later today called the Greater Protection for Interns and Vulnerable Workers Act. My bill will give unpaid interns greater protections under the law. It will entitle them to basic rights under the Employment Standards Act, like the right to a regular workday, regular eating periods, holidays, and time off. It will also give interns protection from reprisal. It will give them the right to file a complaint with the Ministry of Labour and the right to request a review from the Labour Board. My bill will help clarify the conditions of a legal internship for employees and for employers alike. It will require the Ministry of Labour to establish an anonymous third-party complaint system that can collect data on unpaid internships, and it will create an intern Bill of Rights poster that employers will be required to post in every workplace in Ontario. It's clear that too many young people are being left behind, and we need to take concrete action to enforce the law and protect young workers. The first step in enforcement is education and prevention. By educating young workers and employers about their rights and responsibilities, we can make workplaces fairer and ensure that young people get the opportunities and the experience that they deserve. I hope the government will support this bill. I'm going to turn it over to September now.
Hello, my name is September Anderson and I'm a freelance writer. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in English, a postgraduate diploma in journalism, and I've completed 3 internships totaling 13 months. At each of these internships, I worked. These were jobs. They were not learning experiences. What I was doing were unpaid entry-level positions. I was utilizing skills that I'd learned in school, and the companies that I worked for benefited greatly from the work that I did. At one of these positions, I also served as acting online editor when my editor/supervisor went on press trips. These positions were exploitative, and the companies that I worked for benefited greatly from my labor. I would have complained about the exploitation, but I was afraid of being blackballed in the industry. I'm only here now because this has to stop. The wild, wild west that is internships in this province needs to end. Rules need to be put in place, interns need to be protected, and companies need to be held accountable. Despite my education and internship experiences, I've been unable to find full-time work, hence the freelancer job title. Entry-level positions like editorial assistants are now called internships, thus shrinking the available jobs. Also, publications are looking for paid experience. Internships don't count anymore, nor do they have the same value, due to the fact that companies are not running true internships. Why create paid positions when you can get an intern to do it for free?
Hi there. I speak to you from a similar experience from that of September's. I took on an unpaid internship outside of academic credit, and I realized very quickly that the work I performed there was exercised experience skill set. It wasn't a developing new skill set, work experience that I believe internships are supposed to be. The business definitely benefited from my experience, and I definitely replaced a position that should have been employed and paid. So today I'm really excited to sit here before you because the whole reason that I filed that claim for unpaid wages was to help get this matter to the forefront. And I think we're seeing that today. So I congratulate MPP Schein on his efforts. This will allow us to have clear job requirements, which my internship had, but they weren't carried out the way that we had agreed to at the beginning. So I was in a unique position to file for unpaid wages and to have the ESA decide whether my internship was actually an internship or that of a position of an employee. And the ESA decided that the position was that of an employee. So the steps that this bill take into account of ensuring some protections so that there's anonymity when a complaint arises, or so that there's clear job requirements. Those steps had to be addressed by me after the employment began through a process with the ESA, whereas this process allows that to be much more rigid at the beginning and much more clear for everybody involved. So I think there's a lot of employers as well as young people and academic institutions even out there who don't understand what experience we're setting young people out for, and this bill definitely helps to clarify things. So I wish the MPP success with the bill, and I hope the other parties enjoy it as well.
Hi, my name is Andrew Langille. I'm a labor lawyer here in Toronto, and I did my graduate research at Osgoode Hall on the regulation of the school to labor market transition. So youth unemployment sits at crisis levels in Ontario. So what are the facts behind this? Young people are facing an extremely difficult school to labor market transition. Part of the labor market problems that we're seeing for young people is that we're seeing the proliferation of unpaid internships across Canada and here in Ontario. Across Canada, every year there is approximately 300,000 illegal unpaid internships, which contravene minimum employment standards laws and unlawfully deny young workers a living. A large chunk of these unpaid internship scams are right here in Ontario, in places like Ottawa, Guelph, Hamilton, and Toronto. This proliferation of unpaid labor is robbing a generation of the ability to gain a toehold in the labor market and impairing any hope of securing a bright, stable economic future. This trend is also hurting small businesses across the province. In addition to representing employees, I also represent employers. And there are many employers that want to play by the rules, but they are being hobbled by companies that don't want to pay people and are illegally using unpaid internships. And this raises the prospect of unfair competition and an anti-competitive advantage. So, on the legislation, Jonah Schein's bill is the first piece of legislation in North America which addresses the plight of young workers and that they often find themselves in with unpaid internships. And it's the start of a trend that we're going to see both here in Canada and in the United States. This bill extends greater rights and protections to unpaid interns and gives them remarkable rights like a regular workday, a lunch break, the ability to seek redress from the Ministry of Labour. It also proposes that employers would need to give written status of employment to interns, which would educate both employers and employees. It also proposes data collection. This is an idea that many groups have long sought, and it's contained in this bill. It also strengthens the ability to file anonymous and third-party complaints by setting out an actual system. And finally, it would require employers to post posters about interns' rights in workplaces. These are all great ideas, and many of them are things that I've proposed before. So finally, I'd like to thank Mr. Schein for putting forward this bill and addressing one of the most glaring examples of the lack of intergenerational equity in Ontario. And I'd also like to thank the many young workers and interns who have signed petitions, come out to rallies, and have written letters to politicians calling for action on this issue. Thank you.